Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from Parts Unknown. How is everybody doing tonight? If I could sing, I would sing all NATO saying is give war a chance. Man, I tell you what, you'd have to be, well, I can't use the R word, but you have to be retarded not to see what's going on. With this situation in Ukraine, we got the usual players wanting to goad America into another war. And yeah, ain't gonna happen. And we got senators making crazy talk. And Chris Murphy, remember I said keep an eye on him because that White House guy. I said I've never heard of him, and all of a sudden he's on the news all the time and putting out big statements, and you never heard of him before. Turns out his wife getting kickbacks from some USA garbage. So now we got Chris Murphy babbling. So I got took a screenshot of a transcript, some of the nonsense he was talking about with Dana Bash on CNN. I don't know what, I think Dana Bash, I don't think much of her, but she may be part of the Truth and Reconciliation, whether she likes it or not. So we'll see how it goes, and I want to see who all's coming in here. So I hope y'all are having a great night. Melinda, how you doing? Sissy, Todd, Wayne gave me a thumbs up. Haha, Darla, KNS Cleanup, Robin, Sherry, Love, Debbie. Yeah, David's here. Rebecca's here. Lone Wolf's here. For Freedom, nice to see you. Nice to see you. I watched that. Hi, Araceli, Pappy Two Bears, Flannel Cheese. I watched that little meeting with Zelensky again, and got some other people's perspectives on it. And I also watched some of the creepo liberals, and it's just another world. They've got to be living in another world. What the hell? The thing is, I've got friends who are liberals, and I haven't talked to some of them in months because I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I mean, they get on this TDS stuff and they can't let it go, and it disrupts their life. We know all about the CVID. We know all about why the economy was shut down. We know all about what happened in Pennsylvania, what happened in Arizona, what happened in 2020, what happened in Georgia. We know why the charges came up against Trump, why they persecuted Rudy Giuliani. At least we know the surface stuff, And when you talk to somebody who's not awake yet, it's mind-boggling because it's plump and plain that if you don't support Trump, you're supporting so many things that are detrimental. War has got to be the most obvious, especially nuclear war has got to be the most obvious thing that's people can agree on must be avoided. World War III, right? And lump on top of that the Trantifa and the country awash in no speakies, right? The billions of dollars being discovered in fraud, decades, generational fraud, and to continue to say, "Well, we got to get rid of Trump." It boggles the mind. It shows the power of psychological warfare when you have a captured media, but it also shows, some people don't have to be brainwashed. They just think bass backwards. And in some cases, it's because they have a malignant intent. In other words, evil. They're just evil people, and they thrive on chaos. And but I don't want to lump every goofball I meet in that category, but those are definitely the ringleaders that that very craftily propagate some narrative. How the hell do you justify telling a 10-year-old or 9-year-old or 11-year-old to start worrying about what's between their legs? What? How? Well, they come up with gender affirming care. If you don't address this before puberty, you're going to lose your child. What kind of sinister thinking is that? What kind of sinister thinking is that? But anyway, it is so cut and dry as to where the hell do you stand. And if somebody is still can't put aside their conditioned displeasure with Trump to protect, to choose a path that protects humanity, because he's the only one offering the path to keep us out of wars and to keep stop the psychological abuse, stop the financial abuse, stop the theft, stop the destruction of civilization, if you want to know the truth, because that's what they're looking at. I mean, depopulation, that's what they want, right? We know that. Anybody that spends a little time reading about Gates, reading about Fauci's history, and a lot of these people that are in charge, Sorosio, the Georgia Guidestones, and on we go, that they want the smaller the population, the more controllable it is. And if you can control the population, you have slaves. You can have anything you want if you're in charge, right? Because you make people do what you want them to do for your pleasure, for your comfort, for your ego, whatever. So people get a little taste of being on top of the pile, okay? Even if it's such a small spot on the superior being list, so like having a federal job and you don't gotta answer to no damn body. Who the hell do they think they are asking me to respond to an email? Don't they know who I am? I'm the man that met Andy Griffith. Damn it. And you give them a little taste of that superiority and largesse, man, they'll do anything for you. They'll do anything for you. What a recruitment tool to hand out cushy jobs, big money. And what will they do to hang on to it? They'll warp their minds to the point, yes, we need to put federal funding to these doctors to take these kids and correct their gender. And on with the other issues I said. So, oh gosh, we got a lot of people coming in. It's mind-boggling, and it's hard. I'm thinking, well, I will get a hold of my friends when the big hammer drops and try to help them understand. But man, the hammer. But uh, they're having the Oscars tonight. I told you what my fantasy was. Just close off the building and round them up. Hi, Marie. How you doing? Yeah, Zelensky was wiping his nose. Television shows. How you doing? Yeah, I hope it's Epic 17 this week. Debbie, how you doing? Joy, how you doing? Four freedoms and Norway refused to refuel our nuclear sub. Well, the European Union is going to get one right in a crack. I'll put it that way. Hi, Kathy. How you doing? Benjamin. Marilyn, eats the bugs. That's right. Finding Dory. How you doing? Marilyn, nice to see you. Joy. Sissy going. Oh, okay. Oh, well, it looks like you're moving along. You got 13 pounds. That's pretty good. So, anyway, let me get some my coffee. Yeah, I was sitting there watching Lizardhead James Carville. I got a couple of screenshots of some of his gibberish. He was on CNN saying, we got to check on Trump's mental health. He might have syphilis, caused him to fly in such a crazy rage. You watch that thing from start to beginning. I mean, from beginning to end, and you watch facial expressions. You watch Zelensky. You watch Trump. We couldn't see Vance and the rest of them very much, but Trump gave it a good shot at being diplomatic, being nice, being complimentary, trying to move the ball forward for peace. But you could see him. You could see him getting a little angry. Only just before he let him have it. Up until then, he could have brought up a lot of points. I was waiting for him after he got upset, and I could see it was going south. But Trump's too smart to blow it completely up. But I would have asked him what happened. I would ask him, why don't you get me the paperwork on what happened to Gonzalo Lira, an American citizen from California that never left your jail after he was locked up the second time. You better get that information to me. That and many other things. And I watch people play clips and they make commentary. One thing I thought Zelensky said that I haven't heard anybody repeat. Trump was saying Biden was stupid and, didn't have his hat on right and didn't know what he was doing. All very well true. Yes, indeed. Zelensky said, well, you voted for him, insinuating America that's what they wanted. We're going along with the democratic process. Boy, that was hung out there like a big old ripe tomato, because are you talking about the 81 million votes? Is that what you're talking about? It might have been. Trump's going to give a State of the Union. I was thinking, boy, wouldn't it be something on Monday and the Oscars? I mean, Sunday and on the Oscars. Everybody goes to the joint that was messing around, whether it's Epstein, Diddy, Weinstein, whatever. Tuesday, I was talking about, well, instead of them all running off somewhere, you got to hunt them down. You got to get a team together to get the layout of house or hideout they're in. Get them at the Oscars, right? Well, it's just a fantasy of mine. State of the Union, you'll have them all there. You'll have them all there. But you got the usual suspects talking about boycotting the State of the Union. Nancy Pelosi, she used what was that term she used? I didn't write it down. I don't know. But anyway, you got the top suspects saying they're going to boycott the State of the Union. Who does that? Nobody. Why are they doing it now? I think they're afraid of exactly what I'm talking about. Because I was saying, we've all been for years wanting a big event, a big unveiling. And we're getting it. We're getting it. But we've got a media that is muffling these earthquake stories that are being put out. Somewhere between 60 and 100 million people on Social Security that may not even exist. Nobody bats an eye. There's no outrage. So, that gets me to where I start wondering about the state of our society. I mean, does it deserve to be rescued? Or is it going to get exactly what it ought to get? In the minds of some people, I don't know. What was Elon Musk talking about with Joe Rogan? I've seen some clips from that. He was talking about how Medicaid, disability, Social Security, all these programs are just like he called it a big magnet to suck in people to stick with the Democrat Party. And before he mentioned the fact that there's 600,000 people, get this, in New York that have driver's licenses, illegal aliens, 600,000. That means they vote. You bet your bippy on that. That's what Elon Musk was saying. Before I heard him say that, I was watching a broadcast where they pointed out in California there's 500,000 that can't serve on jury duty because they're not citizens, but they're registered to vote. And it's so blatant, so obvious. And still, you run into these characters wearing masks, characters praising Zelensky, bashing Trump. What kind of world do they want to live in? Because if they feel their own nest is feathered, if they have their comfort, if they don't want to look at something ugly and pretend life is beautiful, with some monster right behind them, drooling right an inch away from their neck, they don't want to turn around and look at it, that everything's okay. Maybe that's the mentality. I don't know. I'm just looking through the chats. Hi, Nicey. How you doing? Yeah, like and subscribe. Television shows. Yeah, it's important, Justin Bean. How you doing? To watch the whole thing. It is a lesson in, Zelensky met with Starmer and Macron. Trump just had Macron at the White House last week or so. He had Justin Trudeau, because I did that video where I said Justin Trudeau shaking hands with Trump. I put it underneath there, giggling like a schoolgirl. And then you had Macron come by, and then you had Starmer come by. And they all met with Trump, and they knew damn good and well what they had worked out with Zelensky, because I didn't get to mention it last time. I forgot. All of them, at least Macron, Starmer, and then Zelensky brought it up, used the same term, that they needed the U.S. as a backstop. They were using that shared terminology. So that tells me that it was all in the works. And Trump, I believe, knew Zelensky was going to show his rear end, and he put him out there before the world. If nothing else, to level-headed people, Trump showed, we want peace, the other side doesn't. It's just that simple. Because the only things that were put forth by Zelensky were that he wants the land, all the land back, wants Russia to pay for everything, rebuilding Ukraine, paying back the U.S. Yeah, who the hell's going to get that done? And it's like what Trump told Starmer. He told Starmer, you think you can take on Russia by yourself? And there were enough hints thrown around while things were still calm from Trump. When Zelensky made that smart aleck comment, yeah, I heard about it. Russia, Putin said 2 weeks, 3 days. I already heard. Like, yeah, they thought they could take us, but I already heard that crap from Putin. And he said 3 days. And Trump said, or less. Or less. Putin's been holding back. He's been waiting for Trump. He didn't want World War III. So the left is always, Russia started it. Russia started it. Well, I got something I'm going to read from Clandestine, who's had his finger on the pulse of biolabs around the world and what was going on in Ukraine. But right when Zelensky got a chance to talk, which he did a lot of, interrupting, rolling his eyes, popping his eyebrows up, making stupid faces, mugging for the camera, act like a desultory teenager. Trump was still treating him good. Vance hadn't busted him yet. And he was throwing out there insults to Putin, which, you still have the Russian people to consider. They are a nation. They are human beings. You can't on such a huge stage act like that in any kind of a diplomatic setting, much less the Oval Office. So anyway, Zelensky at every chance was putting out, well, we can't have a ceasefire. It's not going to work. It's just no good. His only path that he was putting out there, and that was clearly, to my mind, at the urging of Starmer, Macron, and the other warmongers from the EU, was to continue And the only satisfactory solution would be the destruction of Putin at the very least. There's only one way that could be possible, and that's with the Third World War. That's the only way. You're not going to say, hey, Vlad, you really screwed up. You need to step down. Oh, I think you're right. I'll step down. I've covered for 3 years outrageous acts on the side of the Ukrainians. Outrageous. Where they tried to bomb their own nuclear power plants, blew up dams, lobbed a missile into Poland and tried to say it was Russia. Why? Because they want to get NATO involved. Did you hear somebody brought up Poland? What did Trump say? I really got a spot for Poland. I like Poland. Yeah, I really like Poland. Out of the blue, the question was asked. I think that was part of the media that wants to help the White House find a path to peace. Was told to ask that question, bring it up, because that's what one of their moves is going to be. Because Zelensky said, they're putting ballistic missiles hitting churches and hospitals today while we meet. I didn't see any reports of that. Ballistic missiles can be spotted and tracked. There wasn't on any media did I see that, but he accused Russia of doing it. So then Starmer supposedly gave defensive, I'm using air quotes, missiles to Ukraine, promised that today. So, we're going to have ballistic missiles flying back and forth. How much you want to bet one of them ends up in Poland to try to draw the U.S. in? Because the real problem, and where we've been getting ripped off and used as serfs, to the principalities, the European Union, Europe is the cradle of these, and I'll say modern day principalities, because anything AD after Christ's death would be considered a modern principality in my book. Europe is the cradle of these principalities, of which we're in this spiritual battle with. And people are going to say I'm talking corny, but no. NATO is where they've got us roped in for suckers. And we've been suckers for 70 flipping years, footing the bills, paying for the entire defense of Europe, going through a Cold War that cost us trillions. And now they got us in a situation where, okay, we're members of NATO, but we got veto power. We got veto power at the UN, and NATO's an North Atlantic Treaty Alliance or treaty organization. Which was started after World War II. Well, where they've got us, or think they've got us, is if any of the member nations are attacked, we all have to join in to defend. We don't have a veto over that. I don't believe we do. It is a requirement of a treaty that was ratified by Congress, okay, went through, signed by the president, as all treaties should be. And that's where they think they got us. And that's why I'm saying that they're going to target a NATO member and then expect us to join in attacking Russia because we're obligated by treaty. Well, who broke the treaty? Maybe we'll find out at the State of the Union. I don't know. I think it's a little too soon for some big potato to drop. I don't think they're going to round up the congressmen and senators at the State of the Union. I wish they would, but it's a little too soon because we're having this picture put out before us, that allows us to be able to have this type of discussion where we're learning so many things we didn't know 30 days ago. We knew there was grift and corruption in the government and billions being stolen, but we didn't have any idea it was this horrific and this much money and this much abuse. It's titanic, the level of theft and abuse, fraud, waste. It's titanic. It's life-changing dollars if it were to be returned to the populace. If we were able to live our lives without having lost generationally the money that's been stolen by the silent thieves. Life-changing in a good way. And what happens when you have something good happen in your life, sustained good? Well, believe me, you live longer, you have less stress, you sleep better, you laugh quicker, you're more productive because every day is a sunny day. You want to get up, do something, make a difference in this world if you have a happier life. That's the biggest thing that's been stolen from this nation. Our morale. Our morale. Why is there no outrage from some of our friends and family, and for many of the people we see wearing masks in their cars or at Walmart? Because they've lost their morale. And that is spelled the same thing as morals, okay? Where's the moral compass? So, we've got to reset the moral compass of this nation, and we've got to reset our morale, raise our morale. And so that's why I'm still betting on at some point there's going to be direct rewards as a result of Doge and the changes that are going to be instituted by the Trump administration. But I see this recalcitrance. I can't blame it all on a corrupt media, a captured media. People won't change until they're brought to the precipice. Till they're brought to the precipice. Well, television shows, Trump can't unilaterally take us out of NATO because it's a treaty. How much involvement does the Senate have to defeat the treaty that's 70 years old, or how many years old? That's what brought me to what I said earlier. Who broke it? Who broke the treaty? If Trump says we're out, because that's what he told Zelensky. He said, no ceasefire. We're out. What if he says to NATO, we're out of NATO? Oh, you didn't get approved through the Senate. Well, is it going to be something like abuses put forward that outrage the people to where the Senate has to agree? Because I think if countries knowingly involved themselves in trying to overthrow the president of the United States, that's an act of war. That broke the treaty. It's supposed to be an alliance, not defiance. Think of the Steele dossier. That came out of UK, trying to get Trump impeached. Well, actually, it was used to try to keep him from being elected. Keir Starmer sent operatives over to interfere with this election, the one we just had. Is it going to be something revealed that certain nations were involved in that is so egregious, there's no way they could support that treaty? No way they could support it. I'm sure Trump is of a mind, much like I'm thinking, we should tell NATO to stick it tonight. And the UN to boot. All the money that had been stolen. But Trump's not going to throw away any cards until he's gotten whatever benefit out of them he can. During this meeting with Zelensky, he did say he respected NATO and he wants to work with NATO. That's the latest word we got from him on NATO. Hi, Todd. How you doing? Yeah, John Adams. That's exactly right. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. So it could be anything. It could be anything, but what is the precipice? What is the precipice? I mean, I like my friends, but they're idiots. But then I have to say, wait a minute. They've been subjected to if you figure out over the course of years, $1 trillion psyop. A very sophisticated and coordinated psyop. And who's to say, if I was still, as in my salad days, oh, I got to call so-and-so. Oh, I got to drive here and there. Oh, I got to walk a property. Oh, I got to get some money out of the bank and go do this and do that. If I was busy, would I be as tuned in as I am now? In my semi-retired repose, and I have the time and the desire and the concern to be able to look for answers as to what's going on. If I had a harried, busy lifestyle trying to meet my goals, would I know what I know now? Would I like Trump? Or would I have fallen for it? So it's not so much superior knowledge, inherent suspicion. It's the fact that I am not on the hamster wheel anymore. The hamster wheel by design. Before there were two income families and the husband had to go to work and the wife raised the kids, you were lucky to get by, lucky to make the payments. It was tough. In your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, every month you're like, whew, there, I got everything paid. We got enough to go out. Take everybody out to McDonald's. Oh, yay. Next generation, both of them have to work. Mom and dad have to work. End of the month, they're both sitting there going, whew, we made it. Got everything paid. Can we go to McDonald's? Yeah, oh, yay. Never the standard of living frozen. Wages go up, but so does the electric bill, so does the gas, so does the bread, so does the meat, so does the house payment, so does the interest rate. It's just metered to where you gotta stay on the ball or you fall off that hamster wheel. And how do you keep your eye on the ball? You don't look at other stuff. You don't find answers. People rely on the media for their news. So that's the way I look at it with friends and family that are duped. And it's such a, I've used the term before, and you can say it two ways, cacophony or cacophony or however you want to word it. Such a cacophony of crap flying around. If you try to explain it to people in detail, they think you're crazy. But you're not crazy, because it's like I said, a hallmark of these people and criminals in general, everything they look at, they look for a way to steal. They look for a way to take advantage. They look for a way to maximize their benefits. A little larceny in everybody's heart. It was a saying I heard years ago. Everybody's got a little bit of larceny in their heart, but you get people that are not only accustomed to it, but start to feel entitled. And you can reward that attitude and recruit and surround yourself with people like that. It has a snowball effect. I was listening to somebody that we had 1 million people respond to that email. And people throw different numbers around. And I said to myself, I was thinking last year we had a lot, like 3 million federal workers. And now I'm hearing only 2 million. I said, well, maybe I was wrong. No, I heard today it was 1 million responded, 2 million didn't. 2 million did not. So and I said years ago, there was going to come a time when we would have literally millions of people. We got to figure out what to do with them because they're not going to have jobs anymore. And it's coming to fruition. We're right now we've got hundreds of thousands that are just out the door. You're out of here. And they can't take care of themselves. They can't humble themselves to say, hey, I got to go dig that ditch, or I got to go wipe down those tables and clean the bathroom for somebody else. They can't do that. What do you do with broken minds like that? People have lost their drive, their ambition, and a broken economy, broken to the point where you have to have both people work. If they choose to have a family, they surrender their children to a system that predates on them. I don't know if that word's in the algorithm or not, but it's a word. How we fix that? And I've said many times, I said, try to put yourself in a position where history is going to judge you. What you're in charge. Because early on, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, the chats were full of lock them up now, do this now, call out the military, all stuff I love to dream about. Just like rounding them up at the Oscars, just like rounding them up at the State of the Union. But what if I was responsible for the outcome? How would I handle this? Fire all those deadbeat federal workers. Well, every action has an equal reaction. And I said, it would strain the fabric of civil society. We would have riots. We would have people that didn't understand, people lashing out, people losing their security. And there would be human suffering as a result. There would be riots in the street, innocent people being hurt. And we saw that, even without the measures we all thought should come. So now we see Trump, the maestro, is in a position where there's going to be all these people adrift financially, adrift psychologically, and they were adrift anyway. That's how you end up being a candidate for a job that you do nothing and get a nice big fat check. You have a self-entitled psyche of a mind, and they will go to bat for you. No, not Trump. I'm talking about the people running the show. They will become influencers. They will make comments. They will push for whatever the poobahs running the show want them to do. Now they're going to be cut adrift. They're psychologically impaired. They're financially impaired. And you can't run a nation where you have millions on top of the ones who are already broken souls. Veterans who are alcoholics and homeless. People who have succumbed to these drugs that have been designed, created, made. I remember, I've said it before, when crack first came out. Len Bias a promising young basketball player, died on the court, just out of the blue. And it shocked the nation. It made international news. Now we got kids dropping off right and left. It's just another day. But that was the first time we heard about crack cocaine. His heart blew up. He got a bad dose. How many more things that we've seen come out? Bath salts, methamphetamine. What is the one now that the guy from Friends passed away from? Ketones or Keotes or what do they call it? We've got societies. We've got sub-civilizations of people who are homeless and addicted and psychologically ill. Hundreds of thousands. And ladle on top of that, a much smaller number, but a devastating number, tens of thousands of children who are confused about their identity, their gender, their morals, their safety, their future. How can you be secure psychologically about the future of your own life, much less your country, your society, or the earth, if you believe in that stuff and then ladle on top of that this climate hysteria, where the world's coming to an end? If you don't live like a damn caveman, or not, even worse than that, if you don't go out there and sit and eat grass and bugs, that the world's going to come to an end. These are all psyops that have heavily damaged our society. So how, if I were the one that was going to be historically held responsible for my actions, and I was calling the shots on what to do to straighten out this sack of crapola, what would I do? I wouldn't lock up everybody at the Senate and the House of Representatives during my State of the Onion. I wouldn't pick Zelensky up by his collar and smack his jaws for the world to see. It'd be nice to think about. Or grab him by the back of the neck and rattle his little marble brain around inside his skull. That'd be fun. But it's not the best thing to do. But these millions or hundreds of thousands at any rate, that's going to be out of a job soon. Yeah, that's good. Why? Because it brings them closer to the precipice. Who's at the door? Reality. Reality. So an exercise like Trump went through with Zelensky is required to put up with that crap and watch where the chips fall. And you get people like James Carville, Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy, who's another one that just sprung up out of the ground. He didn't even know he was a flipping senator. You're flushing them out of the bushes too. Then you see Zelensky scuttle out of the White House. The very next day, he's shaking hands with this Keir Starmer guy in the UK, getting ballistic missiles, getting billions of guarantees, smiling, and Keir Starmer saying, we're going to have boots on the ground and planes in the air. and we need the U.S.'s strong support. Trump saying over and over and over again, you're risking millions of lives. You could destroy the earth with nuclear weapons if you keep it up. Normal people are going to get closer to the precipice. They're going to start paying attention. They're going to start paying attention, and they're going to start looking for what the hell's going on and how do we stop this? Oh my, hi Brush. Miss Bendersue, how you doing? How you doing, Bill? Bill, you remember your parents playing at McDonald's? Yeah, it was like a big treat, wasn't it? Once a month, by the way. How has it always been kept so tight without some kind of planning? Well, you get the things average people need: cars, car payments, electric bills, house payments, the things everybody gets involved. And if they meet that stuff with ease, what do? You introduce credit cards and you put 20% interest rates on top of it. You double their property tax and you put 10% penalty on it, compounded. That'll keep them on the hamster wheel. So, what was this? Senator Murphy, Chris Murphy. He was talking about Trump. He said that he was making the U.S. Having Russia as their closest partner. Trump wants to make Russia the U.S.'s closest partner. It makes it a lot easier for Donald Trump, Elon, and their billionaire pals to steal from the American people, to steal our data, to steal our Medicare, and to steal our Medicaid in order to enrich themselves. Again, not bringing up the point that for decades, Democrats have had every billionaire, every star, Hollywood star, singers. Republicans didn't have that. They didn't have a George Soros, a Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. Now they're sidling up to Trump because they know something's coming. But historically, Jeff Bezos with the Washington Post was nothing but a bullhorn for the Democrat Party. Democrats always had the millionaires, the billionaires, the limousine liberals, the Maserati Marxists. All of them have always been for the left. Now this character, Chris Murphy, claims that Trump is getting with Putin to have the billionaires take over to take our Medicare and Medicaid. So, like I said, well, remember his name. Something's gonna come out about him. I think the Doge crowd probably already found out something juicy about that creep. Then you have James Carville coming up with his talking points. Oh, that was one senator. You had Lisa Murkowski come out having a little hissy fit. She's an alleged Republican from Alaska who gets elected because of this ranked choice voting, which is nothing but rigging rigging an election that needs to be outlawed. And maybe after this is over with, and Bernie Sanders coming out. But Lisa Murkowski said, I know foreign policy is not for the faint of heart, but right now I'm sick to my stomach as the administration appears to be walking away from our allies and embracing Putin, a threat to democracy and U.S. values around the world. What an idiot. They're trying to drive us to war. You know, just on the outside chance that I have any lefties listening to me, that they have the knee-jerk, hooray for Zelensky and hell with Trump. Zelensky is a multi-millionaire. He makes about 11 million a year. He owns multiple vacation homes, and he just settled on a property that belonged to King Charles in London. We all know about Trump. We all know he doesn't take a presidential salary. We all know he lost $1 billion while he was president. But Clandestine said, if you still believe that Russia started this conflict in 2022, then you're either corrupt, ignorant, or brainwashed. If you don't know who Victoria Nuland is or what she was doing in Ukraine in 2014, then you have no idea what's going on. The deep state started this war. It was the Obama CIA deep state that funded NAZI militant groups to start a civil war in Ukraine and initiated regime change to a CIA deep state puppet, Yatsenyuk. Okay, and I've done a bunch of videos on the Azov Battalion and on NAZI groups in Ukrizel. Okay, he's exactly right. This was all revealed in a leaked phone call between State Department diplomats and deep state agents Victoria Nuland and Jeffrey Pyatt. And now he's going to talk about something I've mentioned several times before and told you all to look it up, but it's probably been scrubbed. After the Maidan coup, Maidan, in February 2014, the U.S. CIA deep state owned Ukraine via proxy, and the CIA began using Ukraine as a giant offshore playground for criminal racketeering. Just like they've been using a lot of Latin countries for the production of cocaine, okay, and profit from the sales of that. Ukraine became one giant CIA base directly on Russia's border. Then the U.S. NATO began pulling up Ukraine's army for the sole purpose of one day fighting Russia. The U.S.-NATO alliance began supplying Ukraine with weapons, equipment, missiles, training, etc. Covert elements within the government, along with the European partners in NATO, used espionage to overthrow and take control of the nation of Ukraine, then built a massive standing army on Russia's border, and then tried to bring Ukraine into NATO, and thus start World War III. That's exactly right. If you're still buying the official mainstream media narrative about this conflict, you should not be engaged in conversations. Everything the mainstream media told you about Ukraine, Russia has been a lie, and in many cases, the inverse of the truth. Zelensky went back to 2014 when he started his talk. Trump didn't say anything. Nobody said anything. Even though he's going back 10 years, 11 years to start discussing, instead of talking about mineral rights and rare earth, he goes back to 2014. Before he was ever in office, before Trump was ever in office. That's what made me think, to some degree, Zelensky's playing ball with the White House. Because what he did at that press conference, or pre-lunch discussion, pre-treaty signing or whatever, was laid out the origins of the regime change in Ukraine. He brought up Biden election. You voted for him. You voted for him. He brought a lot of stuff up that could have been easily refuted, but would have led down rabbit holes. Trump wanted to stay focused and show the world that he was being reasonable. Many times he said, I want the killing to stop. I want young people to live. I don't want the death to occur anymore. I don't want buildings being destroyed. He stayed on that course. I want to be known as a peacemaker. It doesn't do any good to call people names. If people watch the entire, and it's available on YouTube. If people that can't stand Trump just go to the point where he says, you don't have any cards, from there on, they're going to think Trump, they're going to reinforce in their own brains that Trump is a meanie. When you could see very plainly, I can't believe that Zelensky would be that much that childish and bring up points that if people research just a little bit, they would have a completely different view. They would see exactly what Clandestine just outlined that I read off. This was a color revolution in Ukraine in 2014 under Obama that started this whole ball rolling. Then you got Poroshenko in. Poroshenko cut that deal with Biden for Biden got 10% of the $1 billion and fired the prosecutor investigating Hunter, and we're off to the races. And after Poroshenko, it's Zelensky. And it's clear to anybody who sits there and looks at it, what Trump was trying to achieve was an economic tie to Ukraine. That would enhance their security. Right now, we don't have any interest in Ukraine. What? What's Ukraine to us? They grow wheat. They got farmland. That's it. Is of no strategic importance to us. And Trump was pointing out that if we have an economic interest in your country, that's going to increase your security. So anybody that doesn't take a mature look at this and say to themselves the same question I asked earlier: what would you do if history is going to judge you and you're the one that has to say about this war? never mind the whole operation we're discussing, but about this war. Would you go down the path that Keir Starmer and NATO wants to go, which is this pipe dream of getting Putin to pay hundreds of billions of dollars to restore Ukraine, get back to the old borders of 10 years ago, and say, I'm sorry. Even if you did lose hundreds of thousands of more lives to try to achieve that goal, the chances of that happening is next to zero. Or would you try the approach Trump has tried? I mean, just what I said in the last 4 minutes, if a liberal would listen to that. Zelensky, Starmer, Macron, the warlords of the EU, what they want is just what they pipe dream they want is for Russia to cough up hundreds of billions of dollars in restitution, return to the old borders of 2014, and say, I'm sorry. Fat freaking chance. So, to liberals, all I can say is keep that in mind while you rewatch the entire interaction and take time to get the hardness out of your heart. Okay, they say rose-colored glasses. People look at things with rose-colored glasses. Well, people look at things with hardened hearts too. Look at Trump as a human being, Zelensky as a human being. If you're trying to read the room yourself and watch Zelensky's face and actions, and watch it again and watch Trump's face, and you can see that Zelensky had no intentions of signing anything. He came there, he was insulting to the Russian people by insulting Putin, which nobody's asking him to like Putin, but you got to act like you got some sense when you're on the world stage trying to stop a war. Right, television shows. That's another thing I was going to talk about. Is coming out that Keir Starmer, the one who immediately met with Zelensky after he got thrown out of the White House, turns out the rumors are that the UK signed a deal already for the rare earth, and they didn't tell Trump. Zelensky didn't tell Trump, and the UK didn't tell Trump. Is that another violation of a treaty? When did they sign it? Was it Zelensky that signed it, or was it Poroshenko before Zelensky? Yeah, and Trump pointed out many times that all their losses happened under Obama and Biden. No, they didn't break any deals with Trump. So Zelensky gave the minerals over. Well, that's what what's his name? Zelensky was talking about rules. There are rules in war. Rules in war. He is a killer, criminal, terrorist, and that would have been a good time for Trump to say, "Well, what about Gonzalo Lira, an American citizen? There's rules in war. He's dead. What happened?" I'll tell you what. I don't know if it's the best thing in the world, but if Zelensky did want to come crawling back, I'll tell you one thing: better have a damn suit on. You know, I disagree with my somebody I watch at times, and I've talked to you all about in the past. Christian Prince. He is a theologian. He's a scholar about Middle Eastern politics, the Bible, the Quran. He's very well read. You can't put him in a box on anything. He knows the word, okay, in and out. And but I disagree with him on something. He did a video last night, I think it was, and he was upset that they criticized Zelensky about his clothes. And he's on the side of Ukraine. Well, I can say with a fair amount of confidence that I don't know everything. Christian Prince doesn't know everything. Nobody knows everything. I wouldn't know up from down, whatever, left from right, over in the Middle East. Okay? I don't know the verses of the Quran. And I certainly don't know as much as he does the verses of the Bible. But by the same token, over here in the Western Hemisphere, I know quite a bit more about U.S. history, the tumult of the 60s, 70s, and how Americans perceive things. And I think everybody in this chat is mature enough that they would, and by that I mean old enough, to would probably agree with me when I say all Zelensky needed on his head was a little beret cocked sideways, and he'd look like Che Guevara. Okay? A little commie militant is what he would look like. If he would have had one of those flat caps with a brim, like Fidel Castro wore, he would have looked like Fidel Castro with a cigar. Am I lying? What's the collective memory of the United States about Che Guevara? Fidel Castro is a military junta. You think JFK would ever had Fidel Castro waddle into the Oval Office dressed like a gorilla? What the symbolism of that was? Oh, and that was when the Cuban Missile Crisis broke out, where we had nuclear weapons 90 miles off of our shores. Oh, that's the era when the whole world saw the president's head explode on television. And to this day, we don't have the straight story on what happened to him. So when you have the honor of coming to the Oval Office, meeting with the president, the vice president, the secretary of state, and the entire world media around you to discuss peace, you're going to show up like some scroungy little commie gorilla? That's what the nation's psyche gets from our generation, looking at a bum like that. If he wanted to seek peace, A subliminal message would have been for him to show up in dignified civilian clothing. There's a reason why our government officials dress as civilians and the military dresses like the military, because they're separate and distinct. And civilians have authority. Civilian government have authority over the military. There's a reason Adolf walked around in his glorified corporal's outfit 24/7 and never wore a suit and tie. So no, we don't cotton to any military junta outfit. And his choice of dress, Trump brought it up in a lighthearted way, but he was given a finger to peace because he showed up, what was it, Sultan Ben Habaduba or whatever. Zelensky wore a suit then. Christian Prince brought up, he said, well, making fun of Zelensky dressed up in that outfit. What about the Saudis? They dress up in robes and their headdress and all that stuff. It's like, no, it's not the same. Because that is their formal wear. That is the dress. That's what they wear. Near East countries like, I guess we could start right around, I don't know, Syria, Jordan. I'm talking Arabic countries, Egypt. They've been wearing suits for decades. You get farther east, and people have traditional clothing. Now, if Zelensky would have shown up dressed like Sultan Hoba Duba or whatever, then yeah, that would be odd. You'd say, what the hell are you doing? But Ukraine is a westernized country, and a suit and tie is a show of respect. It is more formal wear for conducting state business. To show up in that little dopey outfit, he should have been criticized for it. And if he does get the opportunity to come back to the White House, he better damn sure have that outfit on. Yeah, people were saying, well, Elon doesn't wear a suit. When he was in the Oval Office, he had one on. Oh, well, true story. About 20 years ago, I still got the hat. I used to have it was actually dark gray. I had a dark gray herringbone suit. Suit jacket. And a wool ball cap that was herringbone, dark gray, black and gray, and is made in Sri Lanka. Genuine wool. I've had this hat for 20 years. I used to have that jacket, dark jeans, and actually was a very dark green, hunter green shirt. I'd wear that sometimes. People call me the man in black. Remember Johnny Cash, right? But anyway, yeah, it wouldn't be. Hey, look good to me. Elon dressed like that. People were making fun of him. It wouldn't, it's kind of a long suit jacket, black with black pants, and I don't remember the shirt he wore, but it was, the overtones were black. But still, it was more of a dress outfit. It wasn't a military outfit. What would they have said if Elon showed up in a Fidel Castro outfit, olive drab military outfit, or some kind of remember Michael Jackson would make some kind of thing with braid, uh, epaulets and all this kind of stuff, some kind of weird military looking outfit. He was an eccentric nut. But that's the kind of rabbits they try to pull out of their hats. Oh, Elon dressed like. No, he didn't. He dressed with enough respect for a civilian person going to the Oval Office. He showed up in sweatpants. Well, I'm just looking at the chats. I'm going to get cremated. Yeah, I ain't going to worry about what they. I'll just be in a mayonnaise jar or something. So anyway, yeah, Zelensky very clearly laid out nothing but capitulation from Russia, that the U.S. has to be strong enough to stop Putin, and our money was a gift. It was not a loan. That was clear. Remember that? And if we want money back, we got to go to Russia to get it. And by the way, give me more. That was exactly what he was saying. What else was he saying? Trump put the figure at somewhere between 300 and 350 billion dollars. No, that is a gift. That was never a loan. And the rules of war, the person that starts the war have to pay. In other words, we got to go to Russia to get our 350 back. 350 billion. What Starmer announced today was loans. They're not giving the money to this day. Everything's been loans, but we got to give it. You have a big ocean, a big, beautiful ocean, but you will feel it. One day you will feel it, saying our daughters will be over there fighting. Well, that's the signal that they're going to pull some kind of NATO crap and try to force us to go to war. That leads me to think, and if I were responsible for how this international drama plays out, I would let them cut their own rope. I wouldn't be the one. I wouldn't be the one break ties. Trump is laying it out for the world that the last thing he wants is war. If they don't want a peace deal, they're on their own. So if something happens and NATO tries to force us into war, they're going to be cutting their own rope. The American people, majority of American people will not put up with it. Well, Elon announced that they're going to do an audit of the money that went to Ukraine. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think they have ways. What's some of the ways? Well, what's the only source of internet for Ukraine? As far as I know. At some point, just about every computer in Ukraine, it might not be the only source, but at some point, every computer in Ukraine has run through the Starlink system. They've got metadata, they've got quantum computing, and they have got a wicked algorithm that can sniff out and hunt out stuff. So we're going to have simultaneous smacks in the face for people. They're going to find out about cash money being laundered. People are going to find out about weapon systems being sold for 20 cents on the dollar. They're going to find out about biolabs. They're going to find out how something got to the Wuhan lab in the first place. Maybe they'll find out why this measles outbreak happened in the Amish community. Remember Bill Gates saying, "We still got measles." Then all of a sudden you have a measles outbreak. I believe that's the Doge team is probably going through a lot of things about the California fires because they use government money for that, just like with their train system. And then all of a sudden, on the East Coast, Myrtle Beach catches on fire. Did y'all hear about that? Fires breaking out in North Carolina and South Carolina, wiping out a bunch of coastal stuff. I got a friend who's got a place in Myrtle Beach. I got to call him and see what's going on there. Are they going to find out about 15-minute cities? Well, maybe not that, but wiping out the peonies, the peons, for the elites to come in for the coastal properties. Isn't that funny? Maui, Pacific Palisades, Myrtle Beach, some of the most expensive land on the East Coast. So I'm just pointing out that there is a myriad of criminal activity that is being looked at, being uncovered as we speak. Not just the interference by Starmer recently. J.D. Vance brought up about Zelensky coming to America to plug for Kamala. Okay, yeah. Well, what about the ultimate offense? Not trying to impeach somebody, not trying to prevent them from winning an election, not participating in trying to convict them of crimes. What about assassination? Elon can't corner the internet with Starlink. But with Tim Cook, he can. I bet you. Remember, I talked about how Trump was not in a good mood with Apple about them keeping information about how to get in those phones for those two assassins. Apple. Now you got Apple on board, $500 billion investment in the United States, posing for photographs with Trump. He's on board. Who knows what came out of the meeting with, believe it or not, Bill Gates and Trump, Microsoft. I don't know how much of an impact it has on the situation, but Microsoft shutting down Skype, what, a week after he meets with Trump? Zuckerberg on board with Trump. Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Starlink. It's going to be kind of hard to hide stuff on the internet if you got those people playing ball. They probably got 90% of all communications that have ever been put across the internet in the entire world. Unless I'm missing somebody. AOL, America Online, dial up, I don't know. I tell you, another clip that I should have got and play over and over again was where Trump was talking about Putin had to suffer through with what they tried to do, and Russia, garbage. And then the 51 agents, he brought that up. He laid out almost everything on a big framework of criminality, not the, the attempt to overthrow Trump and spy on Trump and stop Trump from getting in office. He said it came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of his bedroom. It was disgusting. That was a good clip. But the bottom line is that kind of interference costs hundreds of thousands of lives just in the Ukraine war alone. Crime against humanity. But what about the pandemic? The costs in lives for that. The only reason that got shoved and pushed the way it was a fail-safe to get Trump out, to destroy the economy, to hog-tie Trump and get him out. Not only the cost in human lives, but the economic losses from the lockdowns. Those areas of damage are a direct result of their attempts to overthrow Trump. The war, the economic shutdown, the lives lost from the illness. We're gonna check into all of that. So what's the time frame? Trump wants to have the 250th celebration for the U.S. next year. What? Yeah, 2026. Wow. We're not at the precipice. That's the thing that's got me concerned. And we've heard that that's where we got to be. That's where we got to get to. And we're not there yet. Is it going to be WW3 scare? What are they going to do to pull it off? Oh, they've already gotten the phones, Jessamine. Trump wouldn't be even dealing with him if they didn't cough that up. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did it. They had a hit list. Sure they did. Gonzalo Lira was on it, and some senators. Oh, I don't know. Television shows if it's going to be epic or not. July 4th. Might be some fireworks different than what we're talking about, if you know what I mean. Did you hear about the jets flying over Mar-a-Lago? They had to scramble jets over Mar-a-Lago. I hadn't seen that. Maybe somebody mentioned it, and I didn't see it. But they had somebody violate the airspace over Mar-a-Lago, and they had to scramble multiple jets. And it's not the only time they've done it. Boy, I was telling y'all that some of these private pilots are dumb as a box of rocks, and they don't read updates, and they don't check on their nav maps. You know, now so much of it's electronic. I mean, we used to have paper. You know, if you had an old nav map, you just had to hope you didn't screw up. But apparently, it might be something as simple as just morons that didn't consider the fact that you don't fly over the president's house without getting intercepted by jets. And then Kathy Hochul, that popped out today. Did you all hear about that? $9 billion scam in New York about, was it Medicaid? Tied back to Kathy Hochul. Is she going to get snatched up? I mean, at what point do we see this rank and open criminality and nobody gets in trouble? Pam Bondi was on Mark Levin. And I don't know, Laura Loomer's like on Pam Bondi. Pointing out that who she used to support and stuff like that, questioning her loyalties to the country, really, because of the Epstein debacle rolling out. But Pam Bondi went on Mark Levin and said, I've got thousands of pages now. I've got thousands of pages. Apparently, Kash Patel pried it out of somebody, and it's been forwarded to Pam Bondi. She said she started off with 120 pages, and she put out that letter to Kash Patel, and now she says she's got thousands of pages, but she wants to review them, but they're all going out, and that the people who held the pages back are all going to be fired. Well, uh, you know, she sounded sincere and all this stuff, but some of this stuff, firing ain't enough. Somebody needs to go to jail. I don't know if you could call that criminal for refusing to obey an order. I think you could say it was I don't know, help them cover up or participate in a cover up or something like that. But anyways, we're apparently going to hear all of it on MLK, JFK, and Epsteinio. JD Vance went with his family to a ski resort, and they had to be taken to an undisclosed location. Did you all hear about that? J.D. Vance's family moved to undisclosed location after being targeted from pro-Ukraine protesters. You know, if those idiots, I don't think they would have the mental discipline. I'm not the easiest person to listen to. And if you want to know what another point of view or more information that the mainstream media won't tell you, you tune into an old man like me talking on the internet. I've never put out anything that was sensational. I didn't put out things for clicks. I put out things that are factual. So the idiots that are going up there harassing the family and the vice president himself, the family of the vice president, make a cup of coffee and turn on Mountain Man and listen. And maybe you won't act like an idiot and get yourself in trouble or participate in a political climate that end up in people getting hurt. But Diamond Silk said, well, this is truly a disgrace. Here's my thoughts. If you are pro-Ukraine, then you need to move to Ukraine. If you're pro-war, then you need to be on the front lines fighting Ukraine's war. And I had a kind of like a brochure. I don't know, I got a picture of it. The Ukraine Foreign Legion. If you're between the ages of 18 and 60 years old, you can sign up. As an American, you can go fight in Ukraine, and they'll pay you. If you pass a physical, and it ain't much of one, and don't have a criminal record, your noble rear end can be right over there fighting with them. Your holier than thou noble ass can be right over there dodging bullets. The other thing, Musk was on the Joe Rogan show and pretty much laid out the facts of the matter. And I've always had a problem with these dumb nonprofit organizations. I've gotten more trouble out of nonprofit organizations than anything, trying to get anything done in life. You run into these Save the Whales, BS, tree-hugging nonprofit organizations, otherwise known as NGOs. Well, Elon put it out there, every one of these damn NGOs gets grants from the government. So how the hell is it a non-government organization if they're all financed by the government? But anyway, he was pointing that out. And he also alluded to, I think it was when he was talking about Soriosio chilling threats to his safety. You can tell who's in danger the most by the ones the media bashes the most. Trump's in danger, number one. Second line, Elon Musk. And what makes me sick is these morons that are protesting would celebrate it. Would celebrate if something happened to Trump or Musk. That is really sickening. So I don't know what the true percentage is, but I guess midterms we'll find out. I mean, Trump's barely gotten over 40 days and 40 nights. He can't do it all. But I tell you what, they've uncovered a lot and they've exposed a lot, and they laid Zelensky out bare for the world to see. And by proxy, NATO for being warmongers. So Trump put out a truth earlier today, okay? And it says now Zelensky will have no choice but to back down and accept Trump's terms. But here's the genius part. Trump is actually protecting Ukraine without dragging the U.S. into war. By negotiating a mineral deal, Trump ensures that Americans will be involved in Ukraine's mining industry. This prevents Russia from launching an invasion because attacking Ukraine would mean endangering American lives, something that would force the U.S. to respond. Trump played both sides like a master chess player. In the end, Zelensky will have no choice but to concede because without U.S. support, Ukraine cannot win a prolonged war against Russia. And once U.S. companies have mining operations in Ukraine, Putin will be unable to attack without triggering massive international consequences. Don't underestimate Donald Trump. In this game of chess, he's 10 moves ahead of everyone. Michael McCune. So Trump posted that. And remember what I said about Cargill Corporation in Venezuela. How when the socialists took over Venezuela, they confiscated all of Cargill. I said Cargill. Think of that dopey James Cargill. Cargill's equipment, real estate, everything, the bank accounts, and that would have never happened under Trump. So it's the same theory. Where's that damn Cargill? Speaking to him, I got a little text from him. There he is. Let me see. Oh, here's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, he came out. Putin can't believe his luck. Here is the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, on Trump. The new administration is fast changing all foreign policy configurations. This coincides with our vision in many ways. Unquote. Trump now backs dictatorship, not democracy. We cannot allow that to stand. Go to hell, Bernie, and stay there. Nothing like senators coming out and bashing somebody who's trying to keep our country out of war. But anyway, James Carville said, uh, what we saw was madness, and I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you and you mad at me. I didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness. And it could be a combination of being a fat slob, which of course he is. It could be that he can't sleep at night because his specialist or medical doctor. I'm not a specialist or medical doctor, but I think we should revisit the possibility of syphilis. He's saying this stuff on television, James Carville. I hope they get something on his old ass, even though he's been out of the game for years. I think he's a disgrace. But I know a little bit about this old lizard. He said, I know a lot of people watch his channel, or some of you, we get many number of MDS professionals that are getting the comments. And some of you well-informed citizens know that Trump might have syphilis. Advanced syphilis is what we're seeing. Who in the hell is talking that? Now there'll be more pundits talking about it, but he's the one that keeps raking up this muck. Well, if he was tight with the Clintons, very, very good chance he's got a lot of dirt on him. And, just to close out on, because I mentioned before, I'm going to talk about Gene Hackman real quick. Dennis Quaid's coming out saying that he was assassinated, or intimating that he was done away with. Something about his royalties. And, I know James Brown, before he died, he was saying people were pressing him to sign over his royalties. And so did Michael Jackson. But, and Dennis Quaid's been through a lot. According to Dennis Quaid, he's had a lot of nefarious people trying to rip him off. Or Randy Quaid, you're right, Bill, thank you. But anyway, they didn't find any carbon monoxide in their bodies. And the dog was in a closet. And, in that type of a home, their version of a closet, some of them you can play tennis in what they call a closet. Okay, it was a $3 million, I don't know how, a very nice spread in a gated community. And that might be where they kept the dog. And she apparently had some form of dementia. I don't know how far along it had gotten. And of course, he was 95. And, I had a lot of friends. I talked about it. They took their Social Security early in 62. And I said, I told y'all about 3 people that didn't make it 6 months. They started collecting their Social Security, and one guy was reading the paper, put paper across his chest and put his head back, looked like he was sleeping. And he had a myocardial infarction, or he was gone. And I had a couple of friends that happened to. She was 63 years old, apparently with some manner of illness and some form of cognitive disconnect. So who's to say? I mean, the dog may have just passed away because it couldn't get water, couldn't get food. Gene Hackman had a pacemaker that quits recording a heartbeat on President's Day, the 17th. The 17th. And I had a friend that had a pacemaker, and I knew his wife, and he had a heart attack and passed away. She was there, and she called emergency services. He was gone, but that pacemaker kept going. I don't know how long they can keep going. Just because the data shows the pacemaker stopped at that date doesn't mean he was alive at that specific time, is what I'm saying. I know that she, couldn't really describe it, but it was very upsetting that the pacemaker was still working. They lived in a remote area, on a big farm in the mountains. I mean, their driveway was a mile, no kidding, a mile long. And so they had to wait for the ambulance to get there. And the pacemaker kept going, and he was not alive. So I don't know about the ins and outs of that, but he was, according to the officer that found him, he was in a mud room, like where you come in from the outside, where your washer and dryer is and all that kind of stuff, water heater, a mud room. And he was on the ground with his cane nearby. He said it looked like he fell. He fell. And she was on the ground with pills spread out on the counter in their bathroom. And the dog was in a closet off the bathroom, I guess, master bedroom, walk-in closet, big bathroom. So it's hard to say. I see, three private islands, Mr. Mindersu says. Oh, by the way, I hope you guys gave me a thumbs up. I should have said, I haven't said it the whole broadcast. But anyway, it's hard to say, but 95. I saw Gene Hackman when he was 93, about 2 years ago, on a video. I didn't see him in person. And he walked on his own steam into a convenience store and got a sandwich, and he was driving a truck. Looked like a big Ford four-wheel drive, like a F-150, but a tricked out one, black. But anyway, he looked very thin and frail, but he had a little pep in his walk, and 2 years is an eternity when you're 93, 94, 95. I don't know what his state of mind was, his cognitive abilities, obviously his walking and decline, his ability to ambulate. He needed a cane. So it's hard to say. I wouldn't. The story is that his family hadn't heard from them in months. And you think, wow, it's, people like that, you figure they would have Life Alert, they would have this, they would have that. But hey, my dad was independent, and he didn't have any of that stuff. And that's the way some people are, that's the way they roll till the very end. And if she was suffering from dementia to some degree, who's to say? So we'll find out more as it goes on. But yeah. It could have been where something happened with her and he was not, physically able to get around that well by himself and fell and did, it, like the old saying, I've fallen, I can't get up. And until that happens to you, until you can't get yourself up and moving, you're stuck on the floor. That's a horrible, horrible thing. So yeah, there's a yeah, Bill, I see that. There's a chain of inheritance that takes away this business of them being offed, so somebody else could get their royalty rights, because he is supposedly gets some of the biggest royalties in Hollywood. If you think about the movies he's been involved in over the decades, people are saying, well, that's why they offed him, so they could get his royalties. But there's a chain of inheritance. All that stuff is. The wife was his caretaker. Are you saying his wife was his caretaker? Because if she was suffering from dementia, there's different stages of that. But let me tell you, they could stay at one level and then crash very, very quickly. They can have good function and have their sundown episodes and things, but still function for a long time. But then when it goes south steep and fast. All right, New Insight, I appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, I got a link for Buy Me a Coffee, and if anybody wants to help support the channel, let's see, when are we gonna hit the? I'll be going live probably tomorrow night. We're in a new week. I appreciate everybody else that helped out last week. Mike and Bev and Angela, I appreciate it. So he didn't have a will. Well, people will say any kind. There's somebody like Gene Hackman, they got a will. Yeah. He was not he was not the type to let something like that go. So anyway, thank you to my new subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, do me a favor, hit the subscribe and the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. And once again, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And we'll get together probably tomorrow night. Yeah, Jerry Lewis left nothing to his own kids. Well, they made him mad. You don't want to make Pappy mad. But anyway, folks, you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.